Hi, welcome back to Watchful Studio. I'm Latch, and today we're on another shopping expedition in Tokyo's Akihabara district. If you watched our last video, you remember we found a 40-year-old board game based around the TV series Mobile Suit Gundam. We started looking into those games and decided we wanted to buy one. So we've come here today to Surugaya behind me, and we're going to see if we can find ourselves a good mecha-themed board game. I don't really know as much about this genre as I'd like, but I do know I'd like to pilot a battlesuit the size of a building with guns the size of radio towers. I'm a man of simple tastes. Let's see what we can find. Now, after searching through all the shelves here and digging through all this terrific artwork, we've managed to find these games. And put together like this is an homage to Yoshiyuki Tomino, who created the real robot genre in his 1979 series Mobile Suit Gundam. He was already incredibly prolific across the science fiction genre, and he'd created many universes with different characters and stories, some of which we see here. Many of the stories had the giant robot theme here that we see, and that was already common in Japanese pop culture. But up to then, they'd been characterized as nearly sentient beings in their own right. And what Tomino did was give us something new. He gave us robots, but this time as battle suits controlled by human pilots. And that was a step up in the cool stakes. He also gave us a wide range of characters that displayed emotions and stories that tackled the complexities of the human existential struggle. The series featured plenty of female characters that had their own agency and agendas. That had influence in the West too, most obviously in the 1986 classic James Cameron's Aliens. In the famous final scene, we have Sigourney Weaver's Ripley in a showdown with the alien queen, two mothers each trying to protect their own kind, and Ripley is using a powered exoskeleton forklift loader as a robotic battlesuit. And all of this has survived these decades because they weren't just an excuse for special effects. Thanks in no small part to Tomino, what we have is grand tales of humanity's perpetual struggle. So let's take a look at these games we found. This is Aura Battler Dunbine. It's a two-player hex-based combat game that's supposed to take about 2 hours to play. It's based on a 1983-84 TV anime series that was set in a medieval fantasy universe, and it has a number of interesting features. Firstly, the mechs had this insectoid knight-in-armor style, and they're not powered by electricity as we've usually seen, but by the pilot's aura or life energy. And it features simultaneous gameplay, and those are all things that we see again in later stories and in later games. Now, this one is Round Vernian Vifam and published by Sakura Publishing in 1984. It's a two-player hex map game that apparently takes up to 6 hours. It followed a TV series in the previous year, and this one is based in our own universe. And while the series was again short-lived, these designs are unique and they're very famous. And finally, we have another game from the same series. This is Computer Wargame number 1, Round Vernian Vifam. And it was published by Bandai in 1983 as the first in a series of electronic device-enhanced games. It's also a two-player game of piloted mech combat on a hex board, and it's supposed to only take 30 minutes to play. But take a look at this. Not only does it have plastic miniatures, but it's got this electronic device to track aspects of gameplay, including damage to the mechs. Now, this is one of the Nabla Saga games. There are 2 of them so far, and this is the snappily named Shinki Resonance Core Connection Masters Edition. We don't get miniatures or standees with this game. The avatars are wholly card-based, and it uses cards to develop the storyline as the game progresses, and that's a theme we're seeing quite a lot of in these mecha games. Now, this is Anachrony Exosuit Commander. It's from 2017, and there have been 2 expansions since then, building on the world. And just look at the great illustrations on this box, and look at the stuff that you get inside. It's pretty weighty, which is always a nice feel. We've got all of these hex tiles, we've got complicated looking playboards, lots of beautiful cards and 24 miniatures inside, and you could buy more miniatures for the game too. So how about this one then? It's a little bit cheaper. Mech Maker. I think this is produced locally. It's a 2-player game, and not only have we got miniatures, but they're individually configurable, which is very much in the tradition of the Gunpla plastic models. This was a release from the Tokyo Game Show a couple of years ago, and there's an expansion for it as well. We're using cards to control movement, and we're doing the combat on a squared board. Again, that's something that we're seeing in quite a lot of these games, a squared board or a hexed board. Now, as a kid that was brought up on Lego and Meccano, this is the right sort of thing for me. And these Embryo Machine games are from Japanese designers, but published by Lionwing Games in the West. They're competitive tabletop combat games using the square grid again, and a modular map board this time. It's 2, 4 or 6 players, and you're drawing cards from the deck to control movement, select weapons, and determine your attacks, and play as simultaneous, which is again something we've seen before in Mecha games, and it's something we like. And second hand, they can't close the box on it. That's a really good sign. This is the one we're going to go with. That's it from us today. From us and the crew, big thank you to the Surugaya staff. Thank you. And tune in again next time when we will have unpacked this and learned how to play it, and we'll give you a full review. Bye-bye.